Ladies and gentlemen, Chief Gary Batten.
Yako Key. Thank you very much for that. And Holly too. Oh, that is music to my ears. It's always great to come up here and spend the Labor Day Festival. And I know everybody's tired, so I only have like an hour-long speech today to give to everybody. No, it is a requirement to give the State of the Nation. This is by Constitution, but I am going to try to do my best to shorten it, to make it quick. And so I'm going to be highlighting the Choctaw Nation, but hopefully give you a snapshot. And of course, we always will be putting things on the internet so that you're able to see that. But as Jack mentioned, you know, I hope everybody truly did enjoy the celebration of faith, family, and culture this weekend. That's who we are as the Choctaw people, and that's the reason why we love coming together and fellowship and having a great time, isn't it? And I am so fortunate, you know, being chief, it's an honor to serve you. It does take a lot of time away from home, and I'm very fortunate that I have a wife and family that supports me and allows me to serve you, our Choctaw people. And I'd like to introduce them. It's my wife of 31 years. We married when we were 8, but it's my wife, Angie. And next to her, you know, last year I made the prediction that we would have an addition to the family. And so now we have my son David and our daughter Taylor Batten that is now married, got married June 30th of this year. And the shorty of the family is our 16-year-old grandson. This is Jeffrey Bell. And then we got little Miss Priss, as always, the baby of the family. That's Miss Kaylin Renee. If y'all would give her a big round of applause. And I look down here and I see my sister and Abby and some of them. And we lost our mother this year in May, but it's great to have you here. Thank you, Brenda. Let's give them a big round of applause. You know, and I look to this side and I look over here and I look at our assistant chief and his family. You know, both of our families are growing and that's great, but I can tell you I cannot do any of these things without this person here that's always there for me and to do the work at work. He's always there helping guide me, counsel me, all those types of things, and he's doing a wonderful job leading our services, leading our businesses. There's no greater character of a person than Mr. Jack Austin Jr. If y'all would, let's give a big round of applause for him. You know, and I keep saying, you know, one thing about the Choctaw Nation, you know, we say the Choctaw spirit. Myself, the assistant chief in this council, we are of one spirit. And that's to serve God, and that's to serve our people. Now, we might have various variations of how to get there, but I can tell you at the end of the day, we're going to come together for the betterment of our people, and our council is doing a wonderful job in representing you, our people. And if you would, let's give our council a big round of applause. You know, in just over the last 3 or 4 years that we continue to grow and our tribal government, and that's the judicial branch. And now we have 9 judges throughout. And so it's an honor to have them named as judges and for them to serve and protect and give our people a fair chance. And that's our judges over here. And if you would, let's give them a big round of applause. And Jack mentioned them, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention them as well, and that's our staff. I always say there's none better than our staff at Choctaw Nation. They truly have that heart. Let's give them a big round of applause for all that they do. So as always, I like to give a PowerPoint so that you can follow me along. And like I said, I'm going to try to do this as quickly as possible. I've got a lot of data and things, but I always like to start off with our vision statement. But before I do, I always like to say my message this year is of continued growth. That's what we all want to see. We want to see the Choctaw Nation continue to grow, not as a government, but for our people and for our grandkids, and that's what it's about. Matter of fact, the reason why I like starting out with a vision is because in Proverbs 29:18 it says, where there is no vision, the people perish. And our vision is living out the Choctaw spirit of faith, family, and culture, and that's what we try to do each and every day when we go to work. Our mission statement is, to the Choctaw proud, I hope that you are a proud Choctaw. Ours is the sovereign nation. I hope everybody remembers, we are a nation. We are the Choctaw Nation. You know, sure, we have the state of Oklahoma. Yes. I know a lot of times people see us as just a group of people that come together, but we are a nation that signed an agreement with the federal government. We are that sovereign nation, offering opportunities for prosperity and growth. Isn't that what we always want to do for our kids and for our grandkids? We want to offer them those opportunities so that they can succeed in life. And that's what our mission is. And to serve our families, we always say faith, family, and culture. Service to our families. The first thing this last year, I'm so proud. I talk about this council all the time. They wanted more home ownership. We need more home ownership within the Choctaw Nation. Between last year and this year alone, last year we served 158 tribal members with home ownership. This year we provided 240 homes to our tribal members for a 52% increase in home ownership to our tribal members. That's through what we call our LEAP program, our lease to purchase program. We still have some of those homes to continue to build throughout the rest of the Choctaw Nation as we move forward. Also, in regards to one of the things the council and assistant chief and us worked together was we always had trouble getting home repairs done in a timely and quickly manner. This last year, we served 154 tribal members. We started the voucher program. I'll give Bob Yandell and the Housing Authority and all that group kudos for making the establishment of the voucher program. This year, we provided services to 548 homes as opposed to 154 last year for a 254% growth in services and home repairs. And of course, one of the things that we always like to do, we always focus on education. One of the areas that we really have excelled in is in our career development program. Last year, we provided services to about 8,107. This year, 8,840 received assistance for a 9% growth to services to our tribal members. But you know, the thing that's most important about that is we keep saying offering opportunities for prosperity and growth. Every one of them that graduated seen an annual income to their family of $16,060. And that is awesome to see them grow up and do what they want to do for their families. And somebody I'd like to recognize, I don't know exactly where they're sitting right now, but Thomas Williston and I were very fortunate. We had 17 graduates from the Comiskey Technology Center in the LPN. Out of those, 11 of those were Choctaw. And Thomas and I went and met with them, and to hear their stories, one of them over President's Day, they had their baby on Sunday, stayed there at the hospital on Monday, went to school on Tuesday. All of them had their trials and tribulations, but they succeeded. They showed that Choctaw spirit, that resiliency and strength, and they passed, and they got their LPN, and I'm so proud of them. And where's our LPN graduates? Right over here. I'm so proud of you for what you're doing. Let's give them a big round of applause. The reason why I like highlighting them is because with all the trials and tribulations, they made it, and it's an example of what all of our Choctaw people can do in life. And so thank you again for epitomizing the Choctaw spirit. Let's give them one more round of applause. One of the highlights throughout the year is also when we go to GED graduation. You know, sometimes people struggle when they're going through high school and things, but this year, typically we have about 64 graduate. This year we had 86 graduates, and that's 3% more than last year. But again, I'm so proud of them for sticking through it, and let's give them a big round of applause as well. Another area that we like to provide services to our families in regards is to health care. As most of you all know, that we built a huge clinic down in Durant, as the council calls the Emerald City. Is that correct? Because they say Durant gets everything, right? But the reason why we invested is there's a lot of tribal members there, but whenever we can gain access to care, then you can provide more care there. It frees up access to care to other clinics and so on. This, between last year, we provided 107,000 outpatient visits. This year, we provided 364 outpatient visits for a 239% growth rate for access to care for our tribal members. And our clinic was the first one in the United States to have an outpatient surgery available to it. So it was able to provide surgeries there, which again freed up surgeries in Tallahassee. Last year we provided 2,688 surgeries. This year we provided 3,514 for 826 more tribal members getting into to have the surgery that they desperately need. That's very important. Another area, I don't know if you remember 2 or 3 years ago, again, the council and us talked about we need to help our people that's had a struggle in life, that's been incarcerated. We started the reintegration program. And I want to give you just a few statistics about the reintegration program. We call it the Second Chance program. This past year, we assisted a total of 313 ex-offender tribal members. All the tribal members who completed the program has not been charged with a new crime or been incarcerated since that time. That's awesome to see them succeed. They provided 1,852 nights of stay in transitional housing, provided 88 tribal members with emergency food and personal hygiene items, provided emergency clothing for 162, and assisted 99 ex-offended tribal members in finding jobs. Let's give them another big round of applause for doing that. And just to highlight some other services, because like I said, I'm going to try to shorten it and keep it sweet, but just higher education, for example, we always focused on that. 9,693 students went through higher education. 4,600 high school students received high school student services. 51,481 received emergency services, or LIHEAP, which is for propane, electricity. 7,081 tribal members received holiday food vouchers. 430 families received storm shelters for safety. 496 received appliances and air conditioners. And that's just to highlight some of the programs within the Choctaw Nation. Always say faith, family, and culture. And so one of the areas that I want to focus on is culture. And as soon as I think of culture, I always think of our elders, those who went before us, those who set the path that gives us and has made us the great Choctaw Nation that we are today. And I'm glad to see them when we're out and about. They have their weekly lunches. We have a senior day for them. We have fall festivals so they learn about programs, a healthy aging clinic. We started the Farmers Market Senior Nutrition Program. We have started independent elderly housing for them, the EDH program, eyeglasses, denture, hearing aid program. And boy, believe it or not, they've started senior wellness where they have chair volleyball and silver sneakers and programs like that. How many of you seen our seniors play chair volleyball? Gets pretty serious. So one of the things the council and us are going to try to work on, because our seniors ask us, is to see if we can host a senior volleyball tournament up here during Labor Day next year. If we can find the space. So it's not a promise at this point in time. We promise we'll look into it, and hopefully we can find a spot. But it is great to see them stand active, keeping them young and out and available for our youth and to teach and learn. And another important area of our culture is our Tushkas, our warriors. And when I think of this year, we've worked with the state legislators so that we can highlight our code talkers and naming the bridges after our code talkers. We've done one down in Wright City, and also, believe it or not, this is the 100th year of our code talkers. And some of the family, I don't know if you're here, but let's give our code talker families a big round of applause for keeping this story alive. And I don't know if Nuchi Nishoba is here. She's president of our Code Talkers Association, but thank them so much for keeping this story alive. And also, they're looking at wanting to do things in the future as well. And at this time, I'd be remiss if I didn't recognize our military men and women. I keep saying our color guard here, when they bring in that flag, don't they make us proud? And let's just recognize our military men and women for what serving God and country. Thank you for your service. And this person that I'd like to recognize is, I don't know if she realizes the impact that she has on people, because she lives out the Chatta spirit of faith, family, and culture just on a daily basis. She's one of our language instructors, and I remember going to class one time, and she started telling about her going to Wheelock, and she started weeping a little bit. They cut her hair back then. She got in trouble for speaking Choctaw, but she said she was going to speak Choctaw. And then she broke out into Choctaw hymn and just sung it so well from the heart. And like I said, she epitomizes Choctaw Nation. She epitomizes that Choctaw spirit. And that's Miss Eleanor Caldwell right here in the front. And I'm so proud of her. Eleanor, would you mind standing? Let's give her a huge round of applause. Yakoki, Eleanor. You know, I always say it's interesting for us, most of the time, that our original language for Eleanor is Choctaw. So when I'm talking up here, she's hearing in Choctaw. For us, we hear English, and then we interpret into Choctaw, right? But Eleanor, thank you so much for all that you do for us. God bless you. In sustainability, I always think about we need to make sure and keep this tribe moving forward for our kids and for our grandkids. And when I think about sustainability, the most important part is our people, our tribal members, and all of our family that works for the Choctaw Nation. Since 2014, we had about 6,500 employees. Today, we have 10,300 employees for a total of 3,783 new jobs since 2014, for a 58% increase in growth of opportunities for our tribal members. Also think about our council, and let's always talk about, again, that opportunities for prosperity and growth. Anybody that wants a job, we have a job for you. So we started Job for the Day. In fiscal year 2016, we were only able to help about 59 people. Fiscal year 2017, we helped about 170 people. This year so far, we've helped 196 people get into permanent full-time employment, and that's what we want to do for our tribal members. We started other employment opportunities, though. We also like to help those that want to start their own businesses through small business development. We helped create 240 new jobs through small business development, 65 training workshops for more than 600 tribal members attending. We also have the Choctaw Development Fund, where we help out our communities and help our small business owners with $5,000 for forgivable loans. 37 Choctaws received that for a creation of 50 new jobs within the 10.5 counties through those other employment opportunities. Also, when we think about sustainability for the future, we have to have continued leadership. And so it's important that we continue to train, mentor, and coach our employees, our tribal members across the nation. For example, in Choctaw U, and last year we had 277 attend in our Choctaw U, where we partnered with President Burge, which is a tribal member for Southeastern Oklahoma State University. This year, we had 451 attend Choctaw U, for a total of 66% growth for sustainability in leadership for our tribal nation. Also, I say the future looks bright because I get to hear just the other day I was at OSU, and even though I'm a big OU fan, I still went to OSU. But went to OSU and to meet with them, and then also to see our interns. We had, this is our 4th year of our internship programs for people that's going into accounting, finance, children and family services, health, construction, business, reintegration, all of those. We had 49 of them that went there, and I can tell you they are living out. Not only are they learning leadership skills, but they're learning the Choctaw spirit, learning our culture and our history. And we have some of our participants of the internship program. If you would, let's stand and let's give them a big round of applause for participating in that. Thank you very much. And one of the things that myself, Assistant Chief, and this council truly believe in is this is your Choctaw Nation. It is your government. Without you, there's no reason for us to even be up here. And so we want to make sure that we can make it as open and transparent and as fair as possible. One of the things the council and us passed was an election ordinance this year so that we can have a good and fair and election process. We also passed a code of ethics. You need to require us and hold us accountable to serve you in a good and just manner. So we established a code of ethics where 2 will be appointed by the chief, 2 will be appointed by the council, and there'll be 1 appointed from the judicial branch if there's any violation of ethics that should come up and be reported. Also, one of the things that we've done, I mentioned last year, is we want to make sure that all of our employees are protected. Our tribal members' assets are protected. If you see any violations or anything that you see throughout the nation, we want it reported. We want to know if there's anything wrong that's going on so that we can protect your dollars. And here's the ways you can do it anonymously and confidentially. It's through cno.ethicspoint.com. You can call 866-835-5266. If you have anything like that comes about for on the drug or on the job drug or alcohol abuse, harassment, discrimination. And again, our goal is, I don't want to be negative here. My thing is just to prove to you, we want to live out that Choctaw spirit and show you that we want an open and fair government. One of the things in protection of our tribe, as I mentioned earlier, is our judicial branch. And I'm so thankful that it's well under construction. We're going to have our judicial building that will be open this coming year so that, again, that solidifies that we are a sovereign nation, that we are standalone. We want to let anybody know that we're going to protect our children. Anybody wants to do business with the Choctaw Nation, they can get a fair and just trial within the Choctaw Nation. We're looking forward to opening that. Well, the next thing I want to talk about is just everybody asks, so how do we fund all of these things? So where does the money come from? Just want to show you a quick snapshot again. 58% of the dollars comes from our own businesses, from gaming. I don't know if you're aware, we're in about 13 different industries, about 69 different businesses. 24% comes from federal and state grants. 12% comes from Medicare, Medicaid, and private insurance. And of course, most of you always ask, I highlighted some of the services, but where does this money always go to? 67% went to services, 21% went to capital projects, which is things like the new headquarters and so on. 12% goes into our sustainability fund, which helps us put money back for the future of the Choctaw Nation. And just to let you know, an indicator of our tribe's sustainability, we contract with Oklahoma City University in 2016 to see what kind of economic impact that we have on the state of Oklahoma. And I'm proud to tell you that we had $1.8 billion impact on the state of Oklahoma. Now, I hope that makes you proud as a tribal member. And just to highlight some of the things that we did last year is, we did an expansion to our resort down in Grant. We built the new Choctaw Nation headquarters. We built a new community center in Broken Bow, Head Start in Wright City. We built 10 LEAP homes in Atoka, Cameron, Colgate, Heavener, Hugo. We built wellness centers in Poto and Durant. And again, that's just to highlight some of them. Some of the future projects, things that we're wanting to do this coming year, we want to make sure. They say faith, love, and hope. We want to give you hope that there's a brighter future for tomorrow. One of the things that we're going to be focusing on is our Choctaw ammunition rimfire. We broke ground on this. We're going to be making our own Choctaw bullet. Ready for that? Another area that you may have read about is that we started the unmanned aerial system, the drones. We are the only tribe in the whole United States that's going to be help developing rules and regulations about how drones can be implemented in today's society. And believe it or not, I never thought that I would see this happen, but we had a drone that delivered corn, dropped it into a hog pen that was able to catch wild hogs. And so that's a way to reduce a $2 billion impact of hogs that's doing damage to all of, not just our property, but a property across the whole state of Oklahoma. And so it's great that we're going to be able to lead that path. Also, we're going to be building the Child Development Center in Poto, a country market in Boswell, cultural center in Durant, daycare in Tallahena, facility maintenance building in McAllister, food distribution in Poto, our judicial centers I mentioned. We're doing a remodel to Idabel Shopping Center, a refill center expansion in Poto, travel plaza in Tallahena, wellness center expansion in Atoka, Idabel, independent living centers for our elders in Antlers, Atoka, Broken Bow, 10 Leap homes still left to go in Antlers, Broken Bow, Durant, Idabel, Krebs, Stigler, Wilburton. We're going to be building 10 affordable rental homes in all 12 districts for a total of 120 rental homes as well. Also, one of the things we're working on is through technology is what we call Chata Achafa, which is our goal is that rather than you having to go to various places, that you have one application that you apply within the Choctaw Nation, and that's our goal to get that accomplished next year. And then also one of the things is we're going to be expanding our human resources area so that we can continue to recruit, train, and retain our Choctaw people. And then lastly, we're going to be spending some of our dollars in communication. Our goal is always to keep you informed, up to date with the latest, greatest that's going on within the Choctaw Nation. Of course, I'd like to encourage everybody to just go to ChoctawNation.com for most of our services, or also call 1-800-522-6170. Also, I don't know if you're aware, but we sent out the new booklets that has all of the programs for people that live within the Choctaw Nation and people that live outside of the Choctaw Nation, what services are available to you. Also, there's a new text service that you can subscribe to. It's text Halito 77453, and it will alert you. If any of you were signed on to that, it showed you some of the things that was going on at Tuskahoma this weekend. You should have gotten your text alert. And just in closing, I always want to say this. It's, up there it says, together we're more. And I truly believe that. The council, myself, assistant chief, but we can't do it unless it's our tribal members, it's our family, our communities, all of us pulling together. And I just want to say it's an honor to serve as your chief. Thank you, Yakoki, for allowing me to do that. And I'll say, Chapisa La Chiki. Thank you, and God bless each and every one of you. Have a safe journey home.